You know, part of me feels like this isn't real, like I'm still in disbelief, like this isn't gonna happen, but it is. The season 2 of the Owl House is here, and just as a reminder, I am watching this through the Paley event, so I was able to get a ticket, so I'm watching these a little bit in advance, which is why I will be wearing the same clothes for the next 2 videos that I do. But yeah, so we have Separate Tides. It's gonna deal with Luce going to try and get a bounty because she feels bad for what happened in Youngblood Old Souls with Ida, so I feel this will be Luce working through a lot of guilt that she feels for that, and just kind of working through her stuff. But yeah, looking forward to this, and also Escaping Expulsion, so yeah, let's go. Oh boy, okay, here we go. Oh god. No, the thing is that they released this clip, the parallels of just the first episode to now of the Azura thing. Oh, it's a Whittle guy.
When I lay waste to all that you...
King, drop it now. Drop it now!
Man, this is every pet owner.
No, I'm not gonna play right
They
now.
they put things in their mouth, and you're just so worried that they're gonna eat or swallow them. I'm so excited, I missed everybody so much! I can't believe it's here. That's the thing, I can't believe it's here. It's happening. Like, we're doing this. But I'm also so nervous. Oh god. Okay, here we go! Oh god, Separate Tides! Okay, you did catch him good. But man, the animation looks so, like, what a glow up! Like, the eye highlights, everything just looks so clean and just, so great. Becky is so huge this season. Like, the portal was just such kind of like an afterthought in season 1.
You're never returning to the human realm!
Okay, buddy.
Yes, I do!
I mean, to be fair, yeah, I don't want you to go back either, Luce.
At least she was. Until her curse overpowered her and weakened her magic.
Oh.
Cursed by her own sister, Lilith. And she spent her entire life looking for a way to undo it. Can all become friends.
Man, I hope Lilith gets her happy
Peter
ending.
gets frustrated, so we've resorted to
It's
working
right.
odd jobs to keep
Her
food on the
business
table.
is out. That was a complete afterthought. I didn't think about that at all.
Hunters. Next week,
Oh,
we could beat
ours?
any fledged witch and get home to
Yeah.
you safe and sound. Take it, Mama.
Yeah, they can't send because the portal's not there.
Anything that
I'm
isn't covered in feathers.
excited
I had to deal with a curse for
Lilith
30 years, so I think you can handle it.
Bellows.
I'm trying to stay civil. Are you kidding me?
I love the gray eye too. Just like, it's such a small difference, but just, man, there's still a poster of Lilith for the Emperor's Coven.
What the? Commands respect and fear.
Oh no.
You're a traitor. What's going
Yeah,
on?
you are. Oh, the Golden Guard.
Did you know
Alright,
him in the
at least
coven?
we have
Unfortunately,
somewhat
I
of a
did.
name.
Genius teen prodigy. But he's really just a brat.
Interesting. I wonder how old he is, if he was a teen prodigy. Oh boy.
We'll be on a high seas adventure.
I mean, that sounds fun,
No.
but at the
We
same
gotta keep a
time.
low profile while
Yeah.
my powers are weakened. This bounty hunting stuff isn't putting food on the table. Money on
Man,
griffin eggs for Luce.
it's so
There's
interesting
not a
that,
lot
like,
she can digest here, so
Ida
I
and
make sure I
Lilith
her
have to, like,
favorites around.
take care of Luce now. Like, this is such an interesting dynamic that I'm so curious to see how, like, it unfolds during the season.
If it weren't for me,
It's not your
maybe it would
fault.
be
You're
better
not a
if I never
burden.
came
Don't do this to yourself.
Prove that I'm more than just a burden.
No, you're not a burden. I literally just said you're not a burden. That's a cool ship, though. Oh, he's there. Oh, it's a setup.
Feeling bad for cursing me. Bye!
Oh gosh, good way to rub it in, Ida.
There's gotta be a way to make it up to her.
Finding a cure would be a great
Evelyn
way.
isn't.
Oh gosh, Hooty.
How's my bestie doing? We can give them cute couple names.
Oh gosh,
No!
Hooty. Oh man, the animation looks so good! We got 3D models in here and everything!
Ding the coastline.
Who is
He was
this
last
fish
seen in
man?
the I have many guests. Till then,
Oh, buddy.
keep everything. Don't be a burden.
Swab
silly
the
squid.
deck. Oh, look at you, Luz. Look at you being all creative. That's a nice pot. Oh god.
Arr.
I really wanted a pirate. No! We love the pirate puns, King. Oh, is King gonna find the guy? The Golden Guard? Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Unfortunately, you won't have the chance.
Oh man, he sounds pretty young. Oh, this is where the fire bees come from. Hooty's gonna help Lilith out. They're gonna tag team this.
Who am I without magic?
Oh, Lilith.
Fire
My gosh,
beast, but I
Hooty,
can help.
how far can you stretch?
Birdworm!
Birdworm? Oh no.
No idea.
Oh gosh, Lilith has
Sorry,
been like
Lulu.
on her own for so
sorry,
long.
Lulu.
Like even though she was in the Emperor's Coven, like she didn't have anybody. She didn't have Ida. She didn't have her family. You know, presumably, like they were both alone. Oh, good thing you can just put your head back on, buddy. Wow, look, big ice pillars loose. Man, she's gotten so good.
I did it!
Uh-oh. Oh man, look at you go, Loose. Oh yeah, you ran out of a little bit of ice. Oh.
Money!
Oh, Ida! That's a great outfit. You should wear that all the time. Oh, hello.
Because none of you can use real magic.
What's real magic?
The Emperor ordered me to slay one. I'm just following orders.
I wonder why.
But I don't have to
He
be
doesn't
that
do
mean.
magic
No one will have to be a
usually
sailor
either. He
or
still
get
does it, like,
arrested if
bellows
one of you follows those
through the
self-edamus
staff.
tracks and
He's not a bird.
Ah, it's dark now.
He does act like a bird, but
Fine.
he's not a bird. Alright, back to the bees.
I am a witch.
You just have a stick! What are you doing? Oh, and see, there's
I'm
Hooty.
here for you, Lulu.
Oh,
No
gosh.
witches and I.
What? Stick together?
Oh,
Because
no.
you stuck with me, you lost your magic.
Loose,
You almost got
no.
turned to stone, and now you can't even afford
I hate this. I hate cynical Loose. Wow, you're very lucky that that thing was there to land on. And also that that sword did not stab you.
Unfortunately for you, my life is pretty great because I'm friends with Luce the human.
Yeah. Oh.
Now,
Man, Ida has so much, like, life experience. She's so wise. And look, it's a
Ida.
little baby.
Do you want to learn your first glyph?
Oh. Oh man, you're gonna make a little show of it?
The Emperor is not a merciful man. Bye!
This guy's a little doofus. Aww.
my first glyph. Did I do good?
Yeah, you
did great.
Are you gonna bomb it up? Oh, great.
Hot dang! It
bunch
gave
of
you the treasure of the
gold?
sea.
Gold?
Oh, great. Oh,
Feel that money, Luce.
gosh, don't rub it.
Luxuriate.
That's sanitary.
You know,
Aw, look at how cute they are.
It's okay. I'm sorry for being all nosy.
I love this Lilith Hooty dynamic.
Peek inside the Emperor's castle.
Is it not gonna be that exciting?
I'll protect you, Cipher.
Oh man, look at them. They're being buddies. Does it work the other way? Oh wow.
Knock, human.
This came early on. Jeez. Alright. Wow. Okay. I didn't think Bellows was gonna appear in that episode, but oh man. But that was such a great episode to like start off this season. Man, what a glow up in terms of like the animation and everything like that. Everything looks so good. And man, I love seeing Lilith and Ida hanging out more. Jeez, that's just, you know, they're separate the entire first season, so now getting to see them interact is really great, and seeing how Lilith's dealing with not being in the Coven anymore and developing that friendship with Hooty. That's so sweet and endearing. But oh man, that was such a great way to start off the season. But now we get Escaping Expulsion, and I'm so excited for this. So after almost a year of waiting, we finally have the return of the Owl House. Seriously, Season 1B premiered on July 11th of last year, and here we are now on June 12th. And Separate Tides really set the bar for this season, from the glow-up in animation to new characters, tone, and plot threads for the future. This episode really was such a wonderful return to the world of the Owl House. But before I go any further, let's go over our secret messages. Now, if you remember from last season, our episode title message was "A Witch Loses a True Way." Since Disney has released the first 5 episode titles, we now have Seek and a word starting with T, probably the. Not a whole lot to go off of yet, but we know the Titan will be playing a bigger role since it's part of Belos' plan. So maybe it's Seek the Titan, or possibly something more vague like Seek the Truth. But we also have our symbol message. From last season we have 2 witches torn apart, now alone, 2 hearts of stone, a curse of feathers and mud, a betrayal of blood. With the airing of Separate Tides, we have our first set of symbols for Season 2 here on the Emperor's Coven ship. The decoded word is seething, so not a ton to go off of other than that someone or something is mad. Maybe this pertains to Belos or the Titan, but we'll see as more episodes come out. So with the messages and codes out of the way, let's get into the relevant plot, lore, and world building for this episode. So our opening shot is of Luce seeking a bounty on Garlog, far less intimidating than his poster would have you assume. But I do like how this opening shot draws a direct parallel to the opening shot from the first episode with Luce giving her good witch speech. Just a nice touch. But we then get our exposition dump, and I think it's pretty clever for the crew to do this through Luce's video to her mom. It definitely comes across as far more natural than characters just explaining things to each other, but we learn that it's been a week and a half since the events from Young Blood Old Souls. And damn, it's really weird to think it's only been a week and a half in the show when it's almost been a full year for us. But we also get the confirmation that Luce does still have the key. This was theorized after the season's finale, but getting the confirmation is huge. Mainly because this key at the moment is the closest thing Luce has as a way to get home. But it will likely be sought out by Belos, because he presumably cannot open the portal door without it, which also leads to the question of, is this Luce's key but altered, or is he trying to make his own key? But I'm probably getting a bit ahead of myself there. The biggest thing to take away is that Luce will be trying to learn more about the key and other forms of magic to get home, so this is now the new goal for this season. But aside from explaining the situation, Luce also introduces King, Ida, and Lilith. And honestly, I have to agree with King here, Luce. I really don't want you to go back either. With Ida's introduction, we see that she is still without her powers. We know from Young Blood Old Souls that Luce promised to teach Ida glyphs, and we'll see that later in this episode, so she keeps that promise. So while Ida may want to be able to use the more traditional method of using magic, for the time being she's going to have to adapt and learn glyphs as the season goes on. And then we get the introduction of Lilith. I know viewers are pretty divided on their feelings of Lilith, but I for one love her as a character and find her fascinating. But she has moved into the Owl House like many theorized, and with betraying the Emperor's Coven, she's retiring her old outfit. And just a small note, the gem is on her dress, so it doesn't seem like it's going to indicate her curse like Ida's. From the trailer, we also see that Ida's gem is on her chest. But I also love the new shirt that Lilith is wearing. I honestly think it's very appropriate because at this point, after everything that has happened, Lilith is just running on a low battery. But I think the most important line from Luce regarding Lilith is the following.
It's still hard for everyone to trust each other, but maybe with time, we can all become friends.
Things weren't going to get solved overnight, and there was likely still some mistrust, but it seems Luce and even Lilith, from the small smile on her face, seem optimistic about making amends. Now with the portal busted, that means Ida is out of business, so the whole group has been taking odd jobs. This week in particular, they have been collecting bounties. Before Luce heads off with Ida and Lilith to the market, she finishes up her video to her mom and promises to get home. We also get the confirmation that Luce can no longer send text messages with the portal now destroyed, meaning any communications with her mom are completely cut off. And this will be interesting to see this plot thread from Camilla's point of view, because if texts from Luce have stopped and the possibility of the letters no longer coming if the sender was using the portal, then she will likely get tipped off that something is wrong. And this possibly leads to that scene that we saw from the trailer of Camilla possibly at a police station. But with the exposition dump out of the way, we join Luce and the gang at the marketplace to collect their bounty. And right off the bat, we see Belos' presence is far more predominant. After the whole petrification thing being televised and watched by everyone, Belos is making sure his power and influence is still felt. Especially now with him having bigger plans in the works. Something that we are seeing the repercussions of is Belos allowing Luce and the gang to walk free, as he put it, sparing their lives by allowing the curse to strip away Ida's powers, per the Titan's orders. Ida is not taken seriously at all, nor is Lilith, and for both this is an adjustment. Lilith, the powerful head of the Emperor's Coven, now a traitor, and Ida, the rebellious most wanted witch, now needing to keep a low profile. But this leads to us getting a name for our new character, the Golden Guard. A member of the Emperor's Coven who, according to Lilith,
he always got special treatment because he was the genius teen prodigy. But he's really just a brat.
And a tweet from Dana confirmed that he is 16, and damn, based on the drawing from Dana's charity stream, I thought this was a grown-ass man in his 30s, not a literal teenager. But we actually won't have to wait long to meet the Golden Guard as he appears later in this episode. With the group feeling down about their bounty payment, Luce suggests to accept the bounty on a Selkie Damus, a creature based off of Celtic and Norse mythology of seal folk. And if you look in the background, there are some interesting posters like the Bat Queen needing a babysitter. Don't know why she doesn't ask Ida again, but hey. There's also just one asking for a friend and an unnamed pyramid. The wanted friend poster I just found funny, but the unnamed pyramid is interesting since it's the only thing without a name. Maybe it's just nothing, but I thought I'd point it out. But with Ida and Lilith without their powers, they need to keep a low profile and not draw any attention to themselves. Also, there is a creature called the Abominable Cutie Pie. Don't know what this guy did to deserve a bounty, but okay. But with the bounty hunter thing not working out, Ida worries about being able to care for Luce, even sacrificing her own wants like apple blood to make sure Luce is okay. And I just love seeing how much Ida and Luce's relationship has grown, but I'll get into that a bit more later on in this review. And with Luce overhearing Ida and Lilith's conversation, this makes Luce feel guilty and like a burden. So to try and make it up to Ida, Luce and King set off to help get the bounty on the Selkie Damus, which unbeknownst to Luce is a bounty ordered by the Emperor's Coven on one of its ships with the Golden Guard on board. While Luce is dealing with that, we see Lilith struggling to adjust to her new life at the Owl House. But I do love seeing Lilith and Ida's dynamic now that they are both on the same side. However, that doesn't stop Ida from rubbing in Lilith's mistakes every now and again. But Lilith is clearly feeling guilty about cursing Ida and wants to make it up to her. Starting with a scrying potion that contains fire bee honey, porcupine quills, snaggleback snaggleteeth, and fairy tears. Lilith even notes that Ida isn't the only Clawthorn who has a talent for potions. As we know, Lilith was also in the potions track. But now we finally catch up with our old pal Hooty, who is so eager to help Lilith, or as he likes to call her, Lulu. Unsurprisingly though, Lilith doesn't want any help. However, this really doesn't deter Hooty. Going back to Luce though, we see her earning respect with the ship's crew, who is working at getting a cut of the bounty. Especially since Luce is already feeling like a burden, she's extra motivated to prove herself. Also, shout out to Crippling Debt Fish Guy and Clam Man, who literally gets decapitated later on. But Luce earns their respect very quickly, using her glyphs in creative ways. And it's always nice seeing Luce consistently improving on her skills. With Luce getting the approval of Salty and the rest of the crew, this leads to King discovering that the ship is owned by the Emperor's Coven, the captain's quarters having many artifacts of the Coven, including a bust of Emperor Belos. But this leads to King getting captured by the Golden Guard. While that's going on, Lilith is trying to get the ingredients for the scrying potion, which shows that she truly does want to make amends. Although being without magic, she's having less than ideal results. And those frustrations lead to her even pushing Hooty away when he offers help. But I'll go into a bit more detail on Lilith and Hooty's relationship a bit later. Back with Luce and the crew, they arrive at their destination, the Simmering Shoals. And even though Luce is the MVP in catching this Selkie Damus, it escapes after a mysterious figure robs the ship. Luce is again quick on her feet with pursuing the thief and discovers that it's none other than Ida. But the two are interrupted by the Golden Guard, who seems rather unaffected by the temperature of the boiling seas, which according to the guard, the steam itself can cause third-degree burns. This is a magical world though, so magic is a pretty easy answer for why it wouldn't affect him. He also mentions real magic, which I can only assume is magic that is performed either through a circle or staff. He's also shown to be a competent fighter, with Ida and Luce not really standing a chance. But it's revealed that the Emperor put an order for the Selkie Damus to be slain, which makes me wonder why. This could just be a plot point for this episode alone, but I'm wondering if there is a reason why Belos wanted this creature killed and if he is ordering the bounty of other creatures as well. But the Golden Guard offers Ida and Luz a way of avoiding being arrested and working to repay the lost money by slaying the Selkie Damus. Doing this would also ensure King's safety. And if it's any indication of just how demoralized and guilty Luz feels, she actually agrees to slaying a peaceful creature, although wanting to help Ida and keeping King safe are two other reasons as well. But something else I noticed is that 1. Any magic performed by the Golden Guard is done through a staff, and 2. The sword he creates is made from flesh. Which reminds me a lot of the flesh from Belos' castle, so maybe there is some connection there. Back with Lilith though, we see that she's still struggling to fight the fire bees and realizes that it's okay to ask for help. And Hooty, who is the best boy, eagerly jumps into action to help Lilith out. But checking back in with Ida and Luz, Ida tries to convince her not to go through with hunting the Selkie Damus, even bringing up the line from the first episode, us weirdos stick together. But with Luz feeling like such a burden, Ida facing possible arrest, and King's life on the line, she feels that she has no other option. And I just don't like cynical Luz. Cynical Luz is like the saddest thing. But before Luz can fight the Selkie Damus, Ida talks some sense into her, noting all of the great things that have happened to her ever since Luz came into her life. And I just love how caring and wise Ida is in talking sense into Luz and trying to figure out a way to make sure nobody gets hurt. And this leads to Luz coming up with a plan and teaching Ida her first glyph to trick the Golden Guard, which ends up working. And I also love that Luz's and Ida's first glyph was the light spell, and that both are now a student and mentor to each other. With the Selkie Damus and its baby safe, it repays Ida and Luz with Selkie Gris, a valuable item at the night market. And I just love these three so much. This scene makes me realize how much I have missed them. But back at the Owl House, we see that Lilith and Hooty are actually getting along. Lilith even apologizing and putting medicine on Hooty's injuries. The medicine even has a glow to it, so I'm guessing it has some sort of magical properties, maybe created by the Healing Coven. And Hooty even gets a nickname, Cipher, from Lilith. But with the potion complete, Lilith shows it to Ida as a sign that she is trustworthy. Nothing that interesting happens in Belos' castle from what they see, but nonetheless, Ida appreciates the gesture. And I'm wondering if they are actually going to keep this potion to scry on the castle again in the future. But for the first time, we actually see that the chamber that the portal is being worked on is sealed off by a special door hidden within the wall. Belos is also shown from the back with long hair and continuing to work on the portal, placing another piece on the door. It's unclear if Belos knew he was being scried on, but with how aware he was of Luz and the gang's actions in Agony of a Witch, I wouldn't be surprised. But he could also just be talking to himself as he inches closer to his plan coming to fruition. There was definitely a lot of plot and lore related stuff in this episode since this was our introduction back into the world, but with all of the plot, lore, and world building out of the way, let's get into all the character development for this episode. Now, this episode was smart in that it centered around our main group of Luz, Ida, King, and Lilith. Since this was us coming back into the show, including other characters would have been a lot, and I'm glad that we kept things grounded. In terms of the overall dynamic of the group, I like that Luz mentions immediately that it is still hard to trust Lilith, but is hopeful that they can work things out. Lilith cursing Ida and that revelation from last season wasn't going to be solved overnight, but I'm glad that they are addressing the topic and want to work towards a better relationship. Since they are all enemies of Belos and that Ida's business is out, the entire group really needs to work together if they want to make it through this, making trust all the more important. And for the most part, they do all seem to get along. I think one of my favorite relationships is Lilith and Ida's. They were pretty separate in season 1, so the fact that they're going to be living in the same house again, presumably for the first time since they were kids, will offer some really great development for the two. I especially love how Ida is taking the whole sister cursing her thing in stride and still being the Ida that we all know and love, but still likes taking jabs at Lilith every now and again. I also think it's interesting that Lilith and Ida now have to look after Luz together. Neither of them are particularly maternal, at least Ida wasn't until she met Luz, so it's fun seeing these two sisters manage a household and taking care of Luz together. It will definitely be a new role for Lilith to step into. But in terms of more specific character relationships, this episode was big for Luz and Ida, and Lilith and Hooty. That's not to say King wasn't important this episode. He was supportive in helping Luz take the bounty to help Ida, and during Luz's video to her mom, he clearly doesn't want Luz to leave. So he's becoming a lot more outwardly caring of Luz and willing to pull his weight in supporting the group since he tagged along with Luz for the bounty. But going back to our other two relationships, I'll start with Lilith and Hooty. Now, I knew this relationship would have a lot of comedic potential, but I didn't realize how wholesome it would be. I think the best thing about Lilith and Hooty is that Lilith is coming from a place of living a very solitary life and not having friends and needing to do everything on her own. And all Hooty wants to do is be friends with everyone. They're like the weirdest pairing, but it makes sense why they start forming a friendship. I also just find it really sad because since Lilith has lived such a solitary life and needed to do things alone, she doesn't know when to ask for help or feels like it makes her weak. In the Emperor's Coven, failure meant punishment, so now we get to see Lilith adapt to having a support group around her who does care about her and wants to help. The other thing about Lilith in this episode is we see how much value she puts in being skilled with magic. Without having it, she feels like a shell of herself. But with Luz teaching Ida glyphs, Lilith will also learn and have a way to do magic again. It will be a process, but at least Lilith has made some steps in the right direction in realizing she has people around her that care. And we even see those walls that she has built up starting to crack with her warming up to Hooty, even giving him a nickname and promising to protect him. And with where their friendship left off this episode, I can't wait to see what it's like in Echoes of the Past where Lilith will be carrying Hooty in a backpack. But let's switch over to Luz and Ida. When it comes to Luz, I like seeing her positive, upbeat attitude, but she's also still feeling guilty over the petrification thing and also destroying her only way home. I think Luz saying the following really shows that this stuff is bothering her, but she knows she can't change that and can only move forward to fix her perceived mistakes.
So I blew it up with some magic fire. She's not gonna understand any of this. That's okay, Luz. Just keep moving forward.
Luz has always been the kind of person who will take the blame or the fall for something, so this reaction on her part is definitely in character. Especially after she hears Ida's conversation with Lilith and how she's making sacrifices like her apple blood so Luz can eat, it pushes her over the edge in wanting to make things up to Ida. One of the other things I liked a lot in this episode is that Luz and Lilith parallel each other in feeling guilty with their actions and how they affected Ida and want to make it up to her. Now from Ida's perspective in all of this, she's getting to the point of a parental figure in Luz's life that she's realizing she's going to have to make sacrifices to continue to care for her along with her sister. But she does so willingly and happily if it means Luz will be okay. Additionally, Ida realizes that she can't go around with her wild and crazy antics to try and get money since they need to keep a low profile. So overall, we're just seeing a more responsible Ida. But going back to Luz, when she is down, that's when she's at her most motivated. Look at her after Agony of a Witch in Young Blood Old Souls. And here she quickly proves herself and earns the respect of the crew, literally being the MVP in every aspect of working on the ship, capturing the Selkie Damas, and pursuing Ida. And I think it's a great parallel between both of these characters that they secretly went off to try and help the other. The two are just so alike in that regard. And I know I just said Ida is being more responsible, but also some things never change. Now, the interesting thing between Luz and Ida is that Luz agrees to the Golden Guard's offer, while Ida is looking for another way to get out of this situation. Luz is usually the one to come up with plans and think her way out of a situation, and she does so later, but at this point, she's just so down on herself that she sees no other option and is super cynical when talking to Ida. And it's really hard to swallow the fact that Luz was about to slay a peaceful creature. It was for good intentions in helping Ida and King, but seeing Luz be so down on herself is just heartbreaking. It's not until Ida says how great her life has been with Luz in it that she snaps out of this gloomy mindset. Luz is the kind of character that is always there for others and lets them know how much she appreciates them, so it's not too often that we have the reverse. But Luz is a character that needs support too, and once she has that, she's the usual ray of sunshine that we all know and love. And that's what leads to Luz coming up with a plan and also teaching Ida her first glyph. This was one of the things I was looking forward to most this season because I think the relationship of Luz and Ida both being students and mentors to each other is really compelling. And the fact that the first spell she teaches is the light spell and the spell that Ida first showed Luz in The Intruder, and subsequently Luz's first learned spell really just ties together the whole thing of the student becoming the teacher. And with the Golden Guard tricked, King saved, the payment of the Selkie Gris, and the gesture of Lilith's scry potion, things seem to be looking up for our Owl House gang. For now at least. But overall, I thought this episode was really strong for all of the characters. With where things left off with the Season 1 finale, seeing how Lilith would adapt to living at the Owl House was one of the biggest questions, and subsequently how the rest of the group would act to having her around. And Separate Tides did a good job of setting up the overall tone of where everybody stands right now. And honestly, it's just really endearing to see all of them trying to pull together and make the best of the situation that they are in. And I'm looking forward to seeing how all of their relationships develop as the season goes on. But overall, I think Separate Tides did a good job of reintroducing us back into the world of the Boiling Isles. From meeting new characters, more island exploration, to checking back in with our main group, this episode really set up what is to come for Season 2 of The Owl House, and I, for one, cannot wait. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you have a fantastic day, and until next time guys, take care.